was born in a small village in Kenya, surrounded by the mist of the tea gardens and the scent of fresh soil after rain. His parents had worked in those same gardens for decades, their hands darkened by the soil and their backs bent from years of bending and picking. The rhythm of their life was defined by waiting for the tea leaves to grow, waiting for them to be ready to pick, and waiting for the day their hard work might bring something more than survival. Among those endless fields of green, a barefoot boy named Ibrahim Mukunga grew up chasing the wind. The villagers said he was born with long legs and lungs carved by God himself. Running came to him as naturally as breathing. Every evening, after long hours in the gardens when most boys were too tired to move, Ibrahim would run. He would chase the horizon, chase the setting sun, and sometimes chase horses. His friends often played with the horses after work. They would mount the animals and race across the open fields. The horses would gallop with full power, their hooves pounding the earth. But Ibrahim, he would run beside them. He would laugh and talk to the wind as if it were an old friend. The horses, strong as they were, would grow tired after a while. But not Ibrahim. He would keep running, his breath steady, his feet slicing through the air like arrows. The villagers would stand in awe, watching this young man who seemed to have been born for the race of life itself. Running became his joy, his obsession, his identity. He didn't run for medals, nor fame, nor money. He ran because something inside him told him to keep going. It was as if his soul was chasing something invisible, something only he could feel. And over time, the barefoot boy from the tea fields became known as the fastest runner in his village. But destiny, beautiful and unpredictable, was already watching him. One morning, the goddess of fate decided to visit his little corner of the world, disguised as a visitor from far away. His name was Nurme, a national champion from Estonia, visiting Kenya to see the famous tea gardens. Nurm was a seasoned runner himself, used to the sight of talented athletes. But when he saw Ibrahim running, barefoot, effortless, with grace that seemed to defy logic, he stopped in his tracks. It wasn't just speed. It was something deeper. It was purpose. It was focus. Nurmi watched him for a while. The way Ibrahim's body moved with perfect rhythm, the way his feet struck the earth with precision, and the way his face showed neither pain nor fear. Nurm saw in him what every great coach dreams of, a raw, natural gift combined with the hunger to improve. And so that evening he walked up to Ibrahim. "Do you always run like that?" Nurmi asked, half smiling. Ibrahim looked at him, confused. "Like what?" "Like you're chasing the wind," Nurmi said. "And winning." That conversation changed everything. Nurmi invited Ibrahim to Estonia. He told him that if he was willing to train seriously, to work hard, he could become more than a village athlete. He could become a world-class runner. Ibrahim didn't hesitate. He didn't know where Estonia was. He didn't even know how far away it was. But he knew one thing: this was his chance. In Estonia, everything was different. The air was colder, the food unfamiliar. The people spoke a language he didn't understand. But running was the same everywhere. Nurmi became his mentor, his guide, his brother. He trained Ibrahim relentlessly for 4 years. Every morning before sunrise, they would run through the forests and along icy roads. Ibrahim learned discipline, technique, nutrition, and strategy. He learned how to run not just with his legs, but with his mind. There were days when his body ached so badly he could hardly move. There were mornings when the snow cut his feet and nights when he missed his family back in Kenya so much that he would cry quietly into his pillow. But every time he felt weak, he remembered his parents in the tea fields and the promise he had made to himself, to run until he couldn't breathe, to never give up. By 2017, Ibrahim Mukunga had transformed from a barefoot boy into a professional athlete. He was set to compete in a major event, the Tartu Half Marathon in Estonia, one of the most prestigious races in the country. The date was May 7, 2017. Athletes from all over the world had gathered for the race. The air was electric with anticipation. For Ibrahim, it was the culmination of years of sacrifice, pain, and belief. The night before the race, he polished his running shoes. They weren't just shoes, they were his tools, his companions. Every athlete knows the bond between a runner and his shoes. They protect the feet, absorb the shock, and help maintain balance and speed. But for Ibrahim, they were something more, a symbol of how far he had come from the dusty roads of Kenya. On the morning of the race, everything seemed perfect. The crowd was huge. Thousands of spectators lined the streets, cheering, holding flags, waiting to witness greatness. Ibrahim warmed up near the starting line, his body light, his heart steady. He had handed his shoes to a man earlier for safekeeping while he stretched. But when he went to retrieve them just before the race, something was wrong. The man was gone, along with his shoes. At first, Ibrahim thought it was a mistake. Maybe the man had gone to the restroom or moved somewhere else. But as the minutes ticked away, panic began to rise in his chest. He searched frantically, calling out, scanning faces in the crowd. But the man was nowhere to be found. And then the realization hit him like a punch. The man hadn't disappeared to help him. He had disappeared to beat him. The officials announced that the race would begin in minutes. There was no time left to buy new shoes, and no one could delay the start for him. Ibrahim stood there, his mind racing faster than his heart. Should he step out of the race and wait for another year? Should he give up after coming this far? The organizers appealed to the crowd. If anyone has an extra pair of running shoes, please bring them forward. But luck was cruel that day. No one had a pair that fit his feet. The clock was ticking. The race was about to begin. Ibrahim had 10 seconds, just 10 seconds to decide his fate. He looked down at his feet. They were bare except for a pair of thin white socks. He could quit, walk away quietly, and no one would blame him. After all, running 23 kilometers barefoot on mixed terrain, gravel, asphalt, and dirt, was madness. It wasn't just painful, it was dangerous. But in that moment, something awakened inside him. The same fire that had driven him to racehorses in Kenya, the same voice that told him never to give up. He whispered to himself, "If I can't run in shoes, I'll run in socks." The officials looked at him in disbelief. The other athletes turned their heads, but Ibrahim Mukunga stepped onto the track, ready. The crowd erupted in murmurs, unsure whether to cheer or pity him. Then the gun fired and he began to run. There were 362 athletes in the race that day, all of them trained, fit, well-equipped, and determined. But only one man ran in socks. From the very beginning, Ibrahim ran with rhythm, with focus, with fire. The cold surface bit into his feet. The asphalt tore into the fabric of his socks, but he didn't slow down. He ran as if his life depended on it, because in many ways it did. People watching couldn't believe what they were seeing. This barefoot Kenyan farmer was keeping pace with the best in the world. By the halfway mark, his socks had begun to tear. Blood started to appear, small but visible. And yet he didn't stop. His breath remained steady. His eyes never wavered from the road ahead. Every step was pain, but also purpose. He ran through villages and forests, across winding roads and open plains. The air burned his lungs, the wind whipped his face, but he ran like a man possessed. At one point, the announcer said, "Number 1487, Mukunga, still leading." Still leading. The crowd gasped. Could he really win this? Could he really do it? By the 20th kilometer, his socks were completely shredded. His feet were now raw against the road, his skin blistered and torn. The pain was unimaginable. But in his mind, something powerful was happening. He stopped thinking about the pain. He stopped thinking about the missing shoes. He thought only of one thing, winning. He told himself, "I have shoes on. I'm running like everyone else. I can win." That thought became his shield. Every step, every breath, every heartbeat carried those words. And when he finally crossed the finish line, the world went silent for a moment. The clock stopped at 1 hour, 13 minutes, and 23 seconds. He had done it. Not only had he finished the race, he had won it. 4 minutes ahead of the second and third place finishers. The crowd erupted into applause. People stood clapping, cheering, some even crying. The announcer's voice trembled with disbelief. "Ladies and gentlemen, the winner, running in socks, Ibrahim Mukunga." It was a moment frozen in time. The poor tea picker from Kenya, who once ran beside horses for fun, had just beaten the world without shoes. Reporters surrounded him. Cameras flashed. Everyone wanted to know how he did it. Was it luck? Was it madness? Was it sheer will? Ibrahim smiled humbly. His feet were bleeding, but his spirit was untouched. When they asked him how he managed to pull off such an impossible feat, he said something that would echo for years to come. "It was difficult to run in socks," he said quietly, "but I convinced myself I had shoes on my feet. I focused all my energy on winning. During the race, I only wanted one thing, to win. I didn't want to tell myself later that I lost because of my socks. So I kept running until my socks burst, until my feet felt the road and the dirt directly. But I didn't stop. I kept running until I won. He paused, smiled, and added softly, and yes, I think if I had shoes, I probably wouldn't have won. When they were taken from me, I told myself, Mukunga, now you have no option but to win. Those words struck something deep in everyone who heard them. It wasn't just a story about running anymore. It was about life. It was about the human spirit. The fire that refuses to die even when everything is taken away. It was about the power of focus, of belief, of refusing to give up. Ibrahim Mukunga didn't just win a race that day. He proved something far greater, that limitations exist only in the mind, that sometimes the very things we lose become the reasons we rise higher, that the road to victory isn't always smooth, but it's always worth running. In the days that followed, newspapers and sports channels across the world told his story. The man who won in socks became a symbol of courage and determination. But for Ibrahim, the real victory wasn't the medal or the fame. It was the knowledge that he had faced his greatest challenge and conquered it. He went back to Kenya months later. The villagers gathered around him, cheering. Children looked at him with wide eyes as if he were a hero from a fairy tale. His parents cried as they hugged him. He had carried their name, their struggle, and their hopes across continents and turned them into gold. That evening, as the sun set over the tea gardens, Ibrahim stood quietly at the edge of the field. The wind brushed past his face, whispering like an old friend. He smiled and whispered back, "We did it." His journey from a barefoot boy to a world champion was not written in comfort, but in courage. Not in wealth, but in willpower. He had learned the most powerful truth of all, that when life takes away your shoes, you can still run, if you have the heart for it. And maybe, just maybe, that's what winning truly means. Because as Ibrahim Mukunga proved to the world that day, if you decide to win, no one can beat you. Not even fate, not even the road, not even the pain beneath your feet.